Welcome. Take a moment to find a comfortable position, whether lying down or resting back, and allow your body to settle. Feel your shoulders loosen, your breath slow, and the gentle rhythm of relaxation begin to move through you. This will be your journey into the distant world of Sparta, a place that has often been remembered for glory and strength, yet lived in reality as something far more harsh, rigid, and difficult in this story. You will not be rushing into battle or standing at the head of an army. Instead, you will walk quietly into the quieter corners of daily life, into the shadows behind the legend. This is a story designed not to excite, but to soothe. A story of rules, routines, and the steady pulse of life in a society that demanded much from its people as you listen. Imagine the muted tones of a world long past, stone buildings, narrow streets, and the surrounding landscape of olive trees, rugged mountains, and the soft rush of the Eurotas River. Hear the faint murmurs of voices, the sound of sandals against dusty ground, and the ever-present sense of discipline woven into every hour of the day. Sparta was a place of order, a place where individuality was set aside for the collective, where children were taken from families, where food was plain, where comfort was rare. Yet this same world created myths that would last for centuries, giving rise to tales of courage, sacrifice, and mystery. In this journey, we will move slowly. First, you will step into the life of an ordinary Spartan, feeling the strict rhythms that defined each day. Then, you will meet a figure at the very heart of Sparta's legend, King Leonidas, who stood at Thermopylae in an act of defiance that echoed far beyond his lifetime. Afterward, we will drift into the hidden corners of history, exploring the mysteries of Spartan culture, the things left unsaid, the gaps in what was written, the secrets buried by time. And finally, we will rise into the halls of power, where kings and elders shaped the destiny of the city-state. Each segment will move gently into the next, carrying you deeper into history, while also carrying you closer to rest. By the end, as the last words fade, you may find yourself drifting, slowly and comfortably, into sleep. So let your eyes grow heavier, and let your mind loosen from the present moment. We are traveling back to ancient Sparta, not to celebrate its battles, but to understand the slow, often difficult realities of what life there truly meant. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, let it out slowly, and now allow yourself to drift, not into sleep yet, but into the distant past. You are no longer in your own world. You are in a city of stone, dust, and olive trees stretching their shadows over dry hills. The air carries the scent of smoke, hearths, and the distant warmth of the sun. You are in Sparta. Here, life is measured not by comfort or play, but by endurance, by resilience, and you. You were born into this world not as an individual, but as property of the state. From the moment you breathe, you are under scrutiny. Elders approach, their faces shaded, their hands calloused. They do not coo, they do not smile. They do not ask, "Is the child loved?" They ask, "Is the child strong? Is the child useful?" They hold you in their hands, feeling the length of your limbs, the weight of your body, the sound of your first cry. Every movement is studied, every cry is noted. If you were judged too weak, you may be abandoned on the slopes of Mount Taygetus, left to the cold wind and silent stone. If you are judged strong enough, you are allowed to live, not for yourself, but for Sparta. The first 7 years, you remain in your mother's care. Her home is simple: clay walls, wooden beams, a floor that is swept but always slightly dusty. You learn to walk across uneven stones. You taste the coarse bread she bakes, drink the milk she pours from a clay jug. At night, she hums softly, rocking you in her arms. But even her voice carries a quiet tension. She knows these days are fleeting. She knows that her warmth and care are only temporary. And then the day comes, 7 years old, taken from her arms. The door closes behind you. The road ahead is harsh, uncertain. The warmth of home becomes a memory fading with each step. The Agoge awaits. You enter the barracks, your new home. The walls are bare stone. The floor is hard, cold in winter, warm but unforgiving in summer. Your sleeping place is a mat made of reeds, rough and uneven. The edges poke and scratch your skin. Night after night, you adjust, turn and shift, never finding true softness. Your body remembers every prick, every splinter, every small discomfort. These are the first lessons of endurance. You are given a single cloak. In summer, it traps the heat and sweat against your skin. In winter, it barely shields you from the biting cold. Your feet are always bare. Stones cut, thorns pierce, but over time, your skin thickens, your steps grow surer, and pain becomes ordinary. Pain, hunger, and discomfort, these are your companions now. Meals are sparse. Bread, coarse and heavy, is your morning. At midday, a thin, dark broth, a mix of meat, vinegar, and herbs. Its flavor is sharp, almost bitter. In the evening, a handful of olives, or perhaps a small piece of cheese. Hunger hums constantly in your belly, a low, persistent voice that never stops. You are told to steal, if you desire more, to take without being caught. If you succeed, the reward is sustenance. If caught, punishment is swift and firm, not for theft, but for clumsiness. Cunning is valued. Weakness is punished. The days follow a strict rhythm. Dawn awakens you with shouting, the cold biting your bare feet. You line up with the other boys. Running, wrestling, lifting, and sparring fill the hours. Older boys supervise, correcting with blows and ridicule. Every mistake is a lesson. Every fall, every bruise, every scraped knee is recorded, internalized. Speech is controlled. Words are weapons. Brevity is safety. To speak too long is to reveal weakness. To complain is disgraceful. You learn silence. Your thoughts withdraw inward. Your voice becomes measured, precise, and rare. Night in the barracks is restless. Boys shift on their mats, scratch insect bites, cough in the darkness. Soft whispers rise, only to be silenced by a harsh glance or a slap. The night is long, sleep shallow. The cold seeps in. The hunger wakes you. Even the softest mat cannot offer true comfort. Yet there are microscenes, fleeting moments that punctuate the routine. Morning drills. You run across the uneven ground, dust filling your nose, stones cutting your feet. Older boys bark instructions. A misstep brings a push, a strike, or a mocking laugh. Every motion is measured, every reaction observed. Stealing food, a small piece of bread hidden under your cloak, a fig tucked into your palm. The thrill, the fear, the sudden relief if undetected. If caught, the pain is sharp, the lesson unforgettable. Whispers at night. Two boys share memories of mothers, distant homes, a warm meal they once had. The sound is almost lost in the barracks hum, fading quickly as an older boy's glance silences them. Environmental whispers. Insects buzz softly. A dog barks in the distance. The river murmurs faintly nearby. Each sound, each smell, each flicker of shadow adds texture to your existence. Your body hardens over time. Muscles tighten, joints strengthen. Pain dulls. Hunger becomes a dull hum rather than a roar. Silence grows natural. Stories of Sparta's past heroes are told to you. Men who obeyed, who fought without fear, who placed the city above themselves. These are not bedtime stories. They are instructions, models, warnings, reminders. You are not your own. Some small gestures appear occasionally. A slightly older boy offers a piece of cheese, his eyes softened for a fleeting moment. An instructor allows a second chance, a subtle nod, a quiet reprieve. Time passes. Some boys are chosen for the cryptia, training alone in the wild, learning stealth, survival, and ruthless cunning. You hear of those who return, changed, or never return at all. Each story leaves a trace of fear and fascination. Days and nights blend. Dawn to dusk, dusk to dawn, reeds, cloak, cold, hunger, drills, silence, the cycle repeats. Your body, mind, and spirit are forged in this unrelenting rhythm. Childhood in Sparta is not about play. It is not about comfort. It is not about love. It is about survival, endurance, obedience, transformation, and yet, slowly, imperceptibly, you adapt. The sound of the river at night, the hum of insects, the distant barking of a dog, these become part of your world. Your mother's scent, her voice, her touch, a memory preserved in the mind's quiet corners. Your body becomes a weapon. Your mind, a silent observer. Your heart, a measured rhythm of patience. Close your eyes again. Breathe. Feel the roughness of the mat, the cloak against your skin, the cold air biting lightly. And remember, this is your childhood in Sparta. A childhood of endurance, of quiet hardship, of lessons that are carved, not with words, but with experience. You are no longer the small child who was carried from your mother's arms. Years have passed. Your limbs are longer, your muscles tighter, your chest broader. Your voice has deepened, measured now, precise and cautious. Yet Sparta allows no softness for its teenagers. You are expected to endure, to obey, to transform. Morning arrives before the sun fully warms the stone courtyards. The chill seeps through your cloak, clinging to your skin. You awaken on the rough reed mat that has been your bed for years, and immediately the ritual begins. Bare feet touch cold stone. Your body shivers, your muscles still tight from yesterday's drills. Around you, dozens of other boys stir, a chorus of stretching, groaning, and subtle whispers. The air carries the mixed scent of sweat, dust, and faint smoke from the hearths left burning through the night. Breakfast is brief. Coarse bread, a thin black broth, a few olives. You eat quickly. Lingering invites punishment. Your stomach has learned to survive on scarcity. Hunger, a constant companion. A low, dull hum beneath your ribs. The instructors observe every motion. Every crumb dropped, every hesitation, every faltering bite is noted, remembered. They do not intervene with kindness, only with expectation. You are being forged in endurance. Drills begin as the sun rises higher, brushing the courtyard with pale light. Running across uneven stone and dirt paths, your bare feet scraping against hidden stones. Every stride measured, every breath deliberate. Pull-ups, push-ups, wrestling matches, lifting heavy logs, all under the watchful eyes of older boys and instructors. One mistake, one faltering step, and you feel the sting of a sharp strike, the weight of humiliation. You begin to understand pain is ordinary, shame is instructive. You fold away pride carefully, storing it for later use, learning patience and strategy. The instructors move among you constantly, sharp eyes piercing the dust and sun-warmed skin. Fear is not hidden. It is a currency here. Even a minor tremor in your hands, a skipped beat in your chest, is caught, corrected. Older boys mock the timid, laugh softly at the hesitant, then silence them with a swift slap. You learn to read their glances, to measure your movement, to speak only when necessary. Silence becomes your shield, observation your weapon. Food remains sparse. You are expected to steal in order to supplement your meals, a fig from a hidden store, a crust of bread from the shadows. The thrill of stealth is sharp, the fear acute. Caught, you are punished. Undetected, you survive. Cunning begins to outweigh brute strength in value. Hunger sharpens your mind even as it gnaws at your belly. Combat training is relentless. Wooden swords clash, spears are lifted and thrown. Each stance, each strike, each block must be precise. Older boys correct mistakes immediately, sometimes with words, sometimes with the sting of a lash. The sun beats down, sweat runs into your eyes, dust coats your damp skin. Muscles ache, joints protest, but you endure. The cloak on your back sticks to your skin. The cold and the heat are both familiar now, almost unnoticed in the evenings. Brief respite is offered, but only to prepare you for the next trial. Meals are meek. Lessons continue. Stories of Spartan heroes are told. Men who obeyed without question, who sacrificed themselves for the city, who fought and died without complaint. These are not bedtime stories. They are instructions, models of obedience, courage, and endurance. At night, whispers circulate. Two boys exchange stories of mothers long gone, homes never to return to. Soft glances, fleeting empathy, small acts of kindness. A stolen piece of cheese, a subtle nod from an instructor, a rare word of encouragement. These micro-moments feel almost like treasure. Rare amid the constant rigor, the cryptia looms as a distant shadow, a test yet to come. Some boys will be sent into the wilderness, alone, to survive, to hunt, to prove cunning and strength. Stories of those who return, changed, or those who never return, linger in the barracks like a quiet, persistent wind. You listen, you learn, you prepare. Evenings bring another kind of lesson. The body must adapt to discomfort. The mind must sharpen to survive observation. The spirit must hold firm in silence. Insects buzz softly around the barracks. The river murmurs faintly beyond the walls. The distant howl of a dog, the rustle of leaves, the soft wind across the hills. Each sound is recorded, remembered, used to measure time and space. Every detail matters. Perception becomes as critical as strength. The cycle repeats. Dawn to dusk, dusk to dawn. The same drills, the same meals, the same scrutiny. Pain dulls. Hunger becomes a rhythm. Silence is second nature. Your body is forged. Your mind is sharpened. Your heart beats in the slow, measured rhythm of Sparta. This is not play. This is not comfort. This is not childhood in the way outsiders imagine. Yet imperceptibly adaptation occurs. Every bruise, every ache, every small act of theft, every whispered word is internalized. You grow taller, stronger, sharper. Your movements are precise, calculated. your silence deliberate. You learn the value of patience, of observation, of endurance. Small victories matter. A perfectly executed run, a sparring match, won through cleverness rather than brute strength, a stolen fig undetected. These moments are your personal triumphs, your markers of survival and cunning. And as night falls, you lie on the stiff reeds again, the chill seeping into your bones. The hum of the river, the whisper of the wind, the distant bark of a dog, all become a gentle rhythm that lulls your mind. You are tired but alert, hungry but steady, young but hardened. Tomorrow the drills will resume, the tests will continue, the training will never cease. But you are ready. You have learned to endure. You are still a boy, yet no longer the boy you were. You are shaped, molded, tempered by every small trial, every tiny hardship, every moment of Spartan discipline. And within this endless repetition, you begin to understand survival, cunning, endurance, and silence. These are your teachers. Every day, every night, every bruise, every whispered moment teaches you how to become what Sparta demands. By now, the years of childhood and adolescence have sculpted you into a young man shaped by endurance, hunger, and relentless training. Your body is strong, yet lean. Your movements precise, economical. Every muscle, every tendon, every joint has learned a rhythm that mirrors the rigid discipline of Sparta. Morning comes as always, yet you notice a subtle shift in the air. There is tension, a quiet electricity among the young men in the barracks. Some whisper, some stand silently, faces hardened. Today is different. Today you will face the first experience that feels like true battle, not just drills, not just sparring, but a simulation that is closer to the realities of life and death. You rise on the familiar reed mat. Your cloak clings damply to your back. The cold stone beneath your bare feet presses sharply into the soles. A sensation you have grown accustomed to but never ignored. Breath forms small clouds in the chill morning air. You walk in line with the other boys, their bare feet and muted whispers echoing across the stone courtyard. Breakfast is sparse. As always, a thin slice of bread, a small portion of olives, a watery broth. You eat quickly, methodically, every bite calculated. The instructor's eyes pierce from every angle, noting hesitation, noting weakness, noting any lapse in attention. Hunger hums in your stomach, a familiar companion that sharpens your senses rather than dulls them. The assembly begins. An instructor calls your name, then gestures for the group to follow. You march across the courtyard, boots leaving faint dust clouds behind, toward the training grounds set for the day. The area is rough, strewn with stones and scattered logs. Sunlight glances harshly across the ground, illuminating the sweat and dust that already coat your skin. The first exercise is endurance. A long run across uneven terrain, carrying a log heavier than you thought possible. Your muscles burn quickly, your lungs scream with every breath. Older boys watch with sharp eyes, correcting your stance, adjusting your grip, striking you with a light rod if your effort falters. Pain has become familiar, but now it carries new significance. It teaches precision, persistence, and the inevitability of hardship. Next, combat drills. Wooden swords clash with the sharp rhythm of repeated strikes. You learn to parry, to feint, to anticipate the enemy's movement. Every motion is scrutinized. One slip, one missed step, and the instructor's sharp hand corrects it. Dust fills your nostrils, sweat stings your eyes, but you endure. Your heart pounds not from fear alone, but from the exhilaration of challenge. The silent pride of small victories. Small incidents carry immense weight. A boy falters and is struck, his yelp slicing through the hum of the courtyard. You step too heavily. The log in your arms wobbles. An instructor's rod taps sharply against your shoulder. A sparring partner lands a clever strike. You fall, taste the dust, and rise, understanding that failure is immediate instruction. The first taste of battle simulation is here. Groups are formed. Lines are drawn. The instructors explain strategy, positioning, and consequence. You move with your team, weapons at the ready, hearts synchronized in silent, tense rhythm. The clash begins, not chaotic, but deliberate. Every movement counts. Every feint and parry measured. Shouts echo, footsteps pound. The rhythm of exertion and anticipation fills the air. This is combat distilled to its essence, not heroics. Not glory, but focus, endurance, and calculation. Beyond physical exertion, you are tested socially. Hierarchy dictates interaction. Younger men observe and learn from older peers. A misstep in coordination, a delayed action, or a lack of attention to orders earns immediate correction. The dynamics of power, obedience, and subtle influence are now as critical as strength or skill. Midday brings little respite. Meals remain simple, rationed. You eat quickly, aware that efficiency and vigilance are valued more than comfort. Every bite becomes an exercise in focus. Every swallow is a reminder of endurance. Afternoons continue with strategic drills. You practice formations, simulate ambushes, and learn to move as a unit. Every step is measured. Every eye scans constantly for threats, both from the environment and from within your group. Discipline is absolute. Mistakes are not tolerated. You begin to internalize the constant rhythm of Spartan life. Observe, act, endure, repeat. Evenings bring reflection and minor reprieve. You sit with your peers, exhausted but attentive. Small conversations take place in hushed tones, whispers about home, dreams, fears. Yet you remain constantly alert. The instructor's gaze might fall upon you at any moment. Lessons of cunning and subtlety accompany physical rigor. Trust is earned carefully. Deception, even among friends, is noted. At night, when the barracks quiets, your mind races through the day. Every step, every strike, every strategic choice is replayed, analyzed. The wind outside murmurs against stone walls. Insects hum softly. The distant river provides a faint, rhythmic backdrop to your thoughts. Even in sleep, preparation continues. You dream of movement, of battle, of endurance. These days are transformative. Your body is stronger, more agile. Your mind is sharper, more calculating. Your sense of self is entwined with the rhythms of Sparta. You begin to understand leadership, responsibility, and the quiet authority of observation. Small victories are savored in silence. Mistakes are analyzed meticulously. You begin to glimpse the next stage, the crypt. Some of your peers will be selected. You do not yet know if it will be you. But the concept hangs like a shadow, the ultimate test of independence, cunning, and endurance. Every lesson you have absorbed so far becomes preparation. Every bruise, every moment of hunger, every night of discomfort, it has led to this, the cycle of training, Observation, hunger, combat, and reflection continues. Dawn greets you again, and the process begins anew. Every day hardens your resolve. Every day sharpens your mind. You are no longer a child, nor simply an adolescent. You are a young Spartan, forged through repetition, discipline, and experience. And as night finally falls, you lie on your stiff reed mat, muscles exhausted, skin tingling with fatigue. The sound of the river, the rustling wind, the occasional distant bark, all form a lullaby of endurance. You close your eyes, knowing tomorrow will demand more, that the path to full manhood in Sparta is endless and exacting. But you are ready. You have survived every trial so far, and each has left its mark. Every scar, every ache, every careful observation is now part of you. You are learning what it means to be Spartan, step by step, day by day, challenge by challenge. The sun climbs over the rugged mountains of central Greece. You stand at the edge of a narrow pass, the rocky cliffs rising sharply on either side. Wind whips across the stones, carrying dust, olive leaves, and the faint scent of pine. Here, history will be forged. Here, a man will stand who embodies the relentless discipline, courage, and endurance you have spent your life learning. Leonidas, King of Sparta. Leonidas is not a figure of legend yet. He is a man of flesh and blood, shaped by decades of Spartan rigor. His body is lean and muscular, each movement precise, each stance deliberate. His eyes, dark and steady, scan the pass, assessing terrain, enemy, and men alike. He does not speak unnecessarily. His presence alone communicates command, focus, and authority. Around him, the Spartan warriors prepare, clad in crimson cloaks, bronze breastplates catching the sunlight, shields polished and weapons sharpened. You walk among them, feeling the rough weight of your own shield against your arm. The leather strap presses into your shoulder. Your sword is familiar, your stance rehearsed 1,000 times. The air vibrates with anticipation. Every breath you take tastes of dust, sweat, and faint iron from blood spilled in previous training exercises. The crowd of soldiers murmurs in measured cadence, and you feel the rhythm, the heartbeat of Spartan preparation. Leonidas steps forward. His voice is calm, but carries over the murmur of the men, steady and commanding. Stand fast. Hold this ground. Every step you take is not for yourselves, but for Sparta, for our city, for our honor. The words echo against the cliffs. A mantra of purpose, a quiet drumbeat that reaches into your chest. You repeat it silently, embedding it into your consciousness, letting it steady your mind against the coming storm. The Persian army approaches. A distant hum first, growing steadily into the clatter of thousands of feet. The gleam of bronze and gold, the sound of banners flapping in the wind. You can smell them faint incense, dust from the plains, and a tinge of sweat that carries over from the heat of their march. The contrast is stark. You are a handful of men, organized, trained, disciplined. They are a vast tide of numbers, seemingly endless, overwhelming. Leonidas surveys the pass once more, adjusting formations, whispering instructions. You feel the weight of responsibility, the pressure of history upon every man. Every shield interlocks with another. Every footstep is calculated. Every breath a measure of readiness. This is no longer training. This is execution. The first clash begins. Persian spears strike against Spartan shields. Wood groans, bronze clangs, leather belts strain. Shouts, cries, and the dull impact of bodies echo through the narrow pass. You feel your heart thrum in sync with the rhythm of combat, muscles responding instantly to threat and command. Pain arrives, a graze of a spear, the sting of a strike against your arm, but it is part of the lesson, part of the battle, part of the inevitability of conflict. Leonidas moves among you, not pausing, not faltering. His presence is a stabilizing force. A glance, a subtle gesture, a firm word, it communicates more than instructions. It communicates confidence, purpose, and the understanding that fear is an illusion, weakness a choice. Hours stretch. The sun climbs higher, relentless heat pressing down on armor and skin. Dust fills your lungs, sweat runs into your eyes, but you endure. You adapt to the chaos, internalizing rhythm, anticipating movements, learning the value of steadfastness in the face of overwhelming odds. Small moments etch themselves into memory. A comrade shields another from a volley of arrows, their eyes locking in unspoken understanding. Leonidas plants himself at a critical point, deflecting attack after attack, setting a living example of courage. The ground trembles beneath the weight of advancing enemies, yet the Spartan line does not break. As night falls, the battle does not cease. Fires burn along the hillsides, casting long shadows across the narrow pass. You feel exhaustion, the heavy press of fatigue on limbs and mind. Yet the sense of purpose is greater than the pain. Every man, every movement, every shield and spear is part of a greater pattern, a larger narrative, a story that will be told for generations. Leonidas speaks rarely, but when he does, his words are carved into memory. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. Stand firm and know that your strength lies not in numbers, but in unity, in discipline, and in heart. You carry these words as much as your shield. You see them in the steadfast posture of your companions, in the interlocking shields, in the calm amidst chaos, and you begin to understand something profound. Training, endurance, and discipline, the very lessons of your Spartan youth, are the true weapons against overwhelming force. Hours bleed into night. The battle continues, relentless. Every step forward is a testament to years of preparation. Every clash of sword and shield, a rehearsal of lessons learned in childhood and adolescence. Every moment of pain, every beat of exhaustion, is a brick in the edifice of Spartan resilience. You feel history flowing through your veins. You are not merely participating in battle. You are living a narrative that will be remembered, recounted, and revered. The narrow pass, the cliffs, the scent of dust and blood, the rhythm of shield against spear, all become part of you. You are molded by experience, as your body and mind were molded by the relentless years of the Agoge. By dawn, you are exhausted, your body trembling from exertion, your lungs burning. The Persian army is halted, their tide broken by the steadfast line, by strategy, by courage. Leonidas stands, resolute, surveying the battlefield. His eyes meet yours briefly, a silent acknowledgement of effort, of endurance, of survival. In that moment, you realize the depth of what you have learned, the value of discipline, courage, and unity over raw numbers. The essence of Spartan life distilled into action. Night finally descends fully, covering the pass with a soft, cold shadow. You lie on the rough ground, armor removed, muscles screaming for rest, body soaked with sweat and grime. The wind whispers through the cliffs. The faint hum of distant rivers reaches your ears. You close your eyes, carrying with you the lessons of the day, the rhythm of battle, and the memory of a man whose presence defines the courage of an entire city. Tomorrow, the world will continue, battles will continue, life will demand more. But tonight, you rest, molded, hardened, and forever marked by the hand of history. The sun rises slowly over the plains, spilling pale light across the battered city walls of Plataea. You stand among the Spartan soldiers, the ground beneath your bare feet uneven and hard, each stone pressing sharply into your soles. The scent of sweat, dust, and smoke from distant fires mixes in the air, a tangible reminder of the chaos that has already unfolded. The enemy stirs beyond the walls, a vast tide of men, banners fluttering in the wind, spears glinting gold and bronze. Their presence is overwhelming, but you have been trained to see order in chaos, to find rhythm amidst the storm. You are no longer a boy in training. Years of the Agoge have forged your body and mind into instruments of endurance and focus. Your muscles are taut, your limbs precise, your breath controlled. Every movement has been drilled countless times, running, thrusting, blocking, parrying, standing unbroken under exhaustion. Yet nothing could fully prepare you for the scale of this siege, the weight of responsibility pressing on every shoulder. The commanders assemble briefly, their voices calm yet commanding. Formation, observation, patience, endurance. These words are repeated, absorbed, internalized. You know the meaning behind them. Survival is not about recklessness, it is about control, calculation, and unity. A single misstep, a single lapse in focus, could shatter the line, costing lives and honor alike. The first wave of attackers advances. The rhythmic pounding of thousands of boots carries across the plain, mixing with the sharp clang of armor and the distant cry of commanders. You grip your spear tightly, adjusting stance, feet pressing firmly against the earth. The first arrows hiss through the air, striking shields with ringing impact. One lands dangerously close to your foot. Dust and grit explode around you. The tension in the air is thick, almost tangible. Your heart pounds, but your mind remains clear, cataloging every detail beside you. A veteran soldier braces against the line, his eyes scanning the enemy. He nods at you briefly, almost imperceptibly, a silent affirmation, a shared understanding that has no need for words. You mirror his focus, your body reacting before thought, every muscle prepared for the inevitable clash. Hours pass. Arrows fly like a storm, spears clash, shields shudder. The ground beneath your feet is churned into mud and dust. Your cloak sticks to your skin, soaked with sweat. Your muscles scream with exhaustion, yet the rhythm of battle continues. Small movements make the difference. A tilt of the shield, a step back, a thrust of the spear. Every sound, every shadow, every subtle motion of the enemy is observed, analyzed, and acted upon. Micro moments define survival. A comrade staggers, struck in the side. You catch him just in time, stabilizing him against the weight of his own armor. A young recruit panics, nearly breaking formation. You glance at him, nod, and guide him silently back into line. Dust swirls in a small whirlwind, momentarily obscuring vision. You shift subtly, maintaining awareness despite the disorientation. The enemy shifts formation, probing for weakness, testing your resolve. You respond with precision, adjusting stance, reinforcing gaps, coordinating with those around you through subtle gestures. Strategy is alive here, not as plans on parchment, but as instincts honed through years of discipline, observation, and experience. Midday sun beats down relentlessly, turning metal hot against your skin, baking the dust into grit. Hunger gnaws at your stomach, yet it is a familiar companion. Its dull ache sharpens focus, heightens alertness. Every breath becomes deliberate, every movement measured. Fatigue is constant, but secondary to awareness and coordination. You begin to notice subtle human details amid the chaos. A comrade shields another from a volley of arrows, eyes meeting yours briefly in silent understanding. A young soldier trembles slightly as he lifts his spear. You offer a subtle adjustment, a guiding hand that stabilizes more than his posture. The wind shifts, carrying scents of smoke, iron, and distant fires. Your instincts interpret danger before vision confirms it. Hours stretch into afternoon. The ground is littered with discarded shields, spent arrows, and signs of the ongoing struggle. Your body aches in countless ways, shoulders stiff, legs heavy, hands blistered. Yet each pain is a signal, a reminder of endurance, a teacher guiding movement. Even in the chaos, there is rhythm, and you move within it with practiced grace. Evenings bring temporary respite. Meals are sparse, coarse bread, dried figs, water. You eat quickly, efficiently. Conversation is minimal. Observation remains paramount. The enemy may retreat or reposition, and you must remain alert to every hint of movement, every whisper of strategy. Small camaraderie emerges in brief gestures, a nod, a shared glance, a half smile in the shadows of torches. Trust is built silently through survival and mutual reliance. Night falls fully. The battlefield is shadowed and quiet, except for distant movements and the occasional call of a sentry. You lie briefly on the rough ground, exhausted but vigilant. The wind carries whispers of distant rivers, rustling leaves, and the faint metallic tang of the day's conflict. Your mind replays each movement, each strike, each decision. Every lesson from the Agoge, every hardship endured, every moment of focus, converges into instinctual understanding. Sleep comes in shallow waves. Dreams intertwine with memory and strategy, formations, arrows, shields, footsteps, and the weight of armor. You awaken briefly to shift, adjust, check your comrades, and return to rest. Always alert, even in slumber. Dawn arrives, and the cycle begins again. Muscles ache, but the body has adapted. Mind is sharp, focus unwavering. You are no longer merely a soldier. You are a Spartan in action, a living manifestation of endurance, discipline, and observation as the siege continues over days. You internalize rhythm, anticipate enemy maneuvers, and coordinate seamlessly with comrades. Every minor victory, a blocked strike, a stabilized line, a prevented breach, is a triumph of training and endurance. Every error, every misstep is catalogued and corrected, becoming part of the continuous education that the battlefield provides. By the time the siege reaches its climax, you are transformed, bruised, exhausted, but sharper than ever. Every scar, every minor wound, every careful observation has deepened your understanding of combat, strategy, and human resilience. Even the smallest gestures, a comrade's glance, a subtle command. The rhythm of footfalls carry immense weight in memory. Night finally falls over the plains of Plataea, blanketing the battlefield in shadow. You lie on the rough earth, muscles trembling, cloak damp and sticky with sweat and dust. The distant rivers hum softly. The wind whispers through the grass and stone. You close your eyes, absorbing every lesson of endurance, courage, and unity. The siege of Plataea is far from over, yet you know that you, shaped by training, discipline, and shared struggle, are ready to meet every challenge it will continue to present. And in this quiet darkness, the Spartan code resonates within you. Observe, endure, adapt, survive, always, relentlessly, unbroken. The sun barely touches the rugged terrain surrounding Sparta, its early rays scattering across jagged cliffs and olive groves. You walk along the narrow dirt paths, feeling the rough stones beneath your feet, the dry heat of the earth pressing upward. A faint wind carries the scent of dust, pine, and the faint smoke of hearth fires from distant homes. Everything feels ancient here. The air, the stone, the rhythm of life, as though the past persists in every shadow, in every whisper of the wind. Today your journey is not one of battle or direct survival. Instead, you move toward understanding the hidden, mysterious aspects of Spartan culture, the practices that shaped not just warriors' bodies, but their minds, their society, and the very fabric of their identity. Legends speak of secret rites, of rituals known only to a few. Archaeologists have unearthed fragments, inscriptions, pottery, remnants of ceremonial spaces, yet the full picture remains elusive, obscured by time, secrecy, and the discipline of a society that valued silence as highly as courage. You approach a small stone structure, partially ruined by centuries of wind and rain. Its walls, covered in faint carvings, depict figures in motion, perhaps training, perhaps ritual. You run your fingers lightly across the cool stone, feeling the grooves worn deep by both weather and time. The air here carries an almost tangible sense of purpose, discipline, and something more subtle. Secrecy, a guide. Knowledgeable in ancient Spartan customs, gestures toward a shallow pit, partially filled with remnants of fire and ash. This is where the young men of Sparta may have undergone private trials, he explains quietly. You peer closer, noting small shards of pottery, the faint traces of ceremonial markings, perhaps symbolic offerings. Every detail suggests preparation, endurance, and a focus on internal fortitude. These were not public displays. They were intensely personal, even sacred, designed to transform boys into men capable of withstanding both physical and psychological trials. The guide leads you deeper into the terrain, toward a rocky outcrop overlooking the Eurotas Valley. Here, scholars hypothesize, the Cryptia took place a rite of passage shrouded in secrecy, involving isolation, survival, and the testing of cunning and courage. You imagine the young Spartan stepping silently through shadows, moving with patience and precision, the scent of earth and stone filling his nostrils, every sense alert. Nightfall would be both companion and adversary, demanding observation, stealth, and instinct. Every snap of a twig, every rustle of leaves, every distant animal cry would test him in ways subtle and profound. You crouch beside the rocky ledge, feeling the coolness seep into your fingers, imagining the tension and fear, yet also the exhilaration that these initiates must have felt. The wind whistles softly through crevices, carrying a faint, almost imperceptible sound of distant water, perhaps a stream, perhaps imagination. Yet in that sound, in the hush of the valley, you sense the careful balance of risk, discipline, and transformation that defines Spartan culture. Artifacts uncovered nearby hint at ritual feasts, symbolic markings, and possibly coded instructions for behavior and observation. A small, nearly broken cup, decorated with faint geometric patterns, sits in a shaded alcove. You imagine a young initiate lifting it in ritual, understanding that every movement, every sip, every gesture was not trivial, but a deliberate step toward mental and physical mastery. Even the simplest object carries layered meaning, endurance, alertness, reflection, unity with the city, and personal courage. The path leads further to an isolated grove. Ancient olive trees standing sentinel-like, silent witnesses of centuries. Here, Spartan youth may have meditated, observed, or executed precise exercises in patience, awareness, and resilience. Every step you take is heavy with imagination. You feel the textured bark under your fingertips, smell the slightly bitter scent of leaves, hear the soft creak of branches swaying in the wind. The sensory details are as much part of understanding the ritual as the sparse written or archaeological record. You reflect on the broader mystery. Sparta was a city obsessed with discipline and endurance, yet deliberately opaque. Their rites, especially those surrounding the transition from boyhood to warrior adulthood, were hidden, codified, and only partially revealed through the fragments left to time. Scholars debate endlessly. Some argue the cryptia was a form of population control, others a rigorous training tool. Some suggest it was an ethical or moral test, demanding cunning and discretion. The truth is layered, nuanced, and perhaps intentionally obscured. Walking slowly back toward the path that leads to the main city, you consider the implications of these rites on Spartan society. Every Spartan adult, every soldier, every citizen had been shaped by repetition, secrecy, observation, and endurance from an early age. It was not only physical toughness that defined them, but psychological acuity, social awareness, and the ability to navigate complex dynamics silently and efficiently. You imagine the city alive with unspoken knowledge, subtle hierarchies, and unobserved discipline, all flowing through the streets, homes, and barracks. Night begins to fall, the valley bathed in soft golden light, shadows lengthening across the ancient stones. You pause once more near the olive grove, letting the air, scent, and quiet wrap around you. The whisper of history is subtle, but persistent in the stones, in the wind, in the remnants of rituals, and the fragments of daily life. You close your eyes, imagining the young Spartan moving silently through the night centuries ago, the weight of expectation pressing on every muscle, every thought sharpened by discipline and fear. You breathe slowly, deeply, allowing the resonance of time to settle in your mind. Sparta's secrets are only partially revealed, yet through imagination, observation, and reflection, you feel connected to their legacy. The blend of mystery, rigor, and unbroken discipline lingers in your thoughts, an almost hypnotic rhythm. Even in modern times, the lessons of observation, endurance, and quiet focus endure, whispered through the ruins, etched in artifacts, and carried in the stories of a society both enigmatic and profoundly demanding. The moon rises over the valley, silvering the ancient stones. You walk slowly back, muscles tired, mind alive with reflection. The hidden rites, the subtle discipline, the invisible lessons of the cryptia and other Spartan practices have left their mark. You close your eyes, carrying the weight, rhythm, and mystery of Sparta, forward an enduring echo of a city that lived and thrived on the edge of secrecy, rigor, and relentless human endurance. The morning sun spills across the rocky hills surrounding Sparta, painting the stone in muted shades of ochre and grey. You walk slowly along the narrow path leading to a secluded valley, where remnants of ancient tombs lie partially buried under centuries of soil and dust. The wind whispers across the cliffs, carrying faint scents of earth, pine, and lingering smoke from distant fires. Everything here feels suspended in time. Each stone, each shadow, each faint carving holds stories that remain untold. Shrouded in mystery, the tombs themselves are simple in outward appearance. Low stones arranged in rough rectangles, some with faint inscriptions or geometric designs. Yet archaeologists suggest that these sites were once of profound significance, possibly reserved for elite warriors or initiates of secret rites. You kneel beside one, running your fingers lightly across the weathered surface, tracing the shallow grooves worn smooth by wind, rain, and countless generations. A faint chill seeps through your fingers, as though the stone itself carries memory, a whisper of the lives and rituals that once surrounded it. You imagine the scene centuries ago, torches flickering against darkened rock faces, shadows dancing across the walls of an enclosed burial chamber. Young Spartans may have been led here in silence, guided by elder warriors or priests, each step deliberate, each gesture a coded signal. The scent of burning herbs, the muted murmur of chants, the subtle rustle of garments, all layered to create an atmosphere of reverence, fear, and anticipation. Every sound, every smell, every texture would have contributed to the gravity of the ritual, engraving discipline and obedience into body and mind. Nearby, a partially excavated tomb reveals fragments of pottery, bronze weapons, and small, intricately carved figurines. These artifacts suggest that the tombs were not simply for burial, but perhaps part of initiation or honorific rites. The figurines, despite being diminutive, are imbued with subtle symbolism. One holds a shield, another a spear, both in postures of vigilance. You pick up a shard of pottery, feeling its weight, imagining the hands that shaped it, the intention behind every line etched upon it. As you move from tomb to tomb, you notice variations in construction and placement. Some are aligned with the rising sun, suggesting astronomical or ceremonial significance. Others are built near natural springs or groves of olive trees, where the sound of water or the rustle of leaves might have augmented ritual meditation or reflection. You close your eyes and listen to the wind. It carries whispers of past ceremonies, footsteps echoing in empty chambers, and the distant laughter or sobs of those participating in secret rites. The deeper you venture, the more you uncover subtle clues. Shallow pits near some tombs may have held offerings of food, drink, or symbolic objects. Faint inscriptions, worn nearly smooth, hint at names, ranks, or ritual instructions. The placement of stones and paths suggests processional routes, carefully designed to enforce order, silence, and reflection. You kneel beside one site and imagine the processions, torchlight flickering, shadows stretching across stone walls, the disciplined march of young initiates. Every footstep, every gesture, every whispered command is a lesson in focus, endurance, and secrecy. The initiates would have learned not only about discipline and courage, but also about observation, patience, and the weight of legacy. The archaeological record remains incomplete. Many tombs have been lost to time, looters, or natural erosion. Yet even the fragments tell stories. Bronze helmets resting atop stone slabs, their surfaces scratched and pitted with age. vessels holding remnants of burnt offerings, faint traces of herbs, and soil chemicals detectable only through modern analysis. Carvings depicting scenes of battle, ritual, or symbolic instruction. The exact meaning obscured by centuries of mystery. Standing back, you take in the valley. The tombs, scattered and partially hidden, form a subtle pattern across the landscape. Some researchers believe these sites encode information about social hierarchy, military achievement, or ritual knowledge passed silently through generations. Others suggest astronomical alignment, a connection to seasonal cycles, or a means of linking the living to the divine or ancestral spirits. The truth remains elusive, layered beneath centuries of stone, soil, and silence. You pause near an olive grove, feeling the rough bark under your fingertips, hearing the rustle of leaves, and inhaling the faint, bitter scent of olives. It is easy to imagine that these trees witnessed generations of Spartans performing rituals, standing in disciplined silence, absorbing lessons of courage and endurance. Perhaps they watched over initiates as they faced trials, silently observing, their presence a constant, unspoken reminder of the continuity of Spartan culture. The sun dips lower, casting long gold-tinted shadows across the valley. You walk slowly back along the path, feeling the weight of history pressing upon you. Every artifact, every stone, every subtle alignment whispers secrets of a society obsessed with discipline, secrecy, and mastery over both body and mind. You close your eyes and let the rhythm of the tombs, the wind, and the olive groves sink into your awareness. Even now, modern scholars debate endlessly what truly occurred in these tombs. What rituals, what ceremonies, what lessons were imparted to the young and the elite? The silence of the stones offers no clear answer, yet in that very silence, you feel the resonance of an enduring, disciplined culture. Night falls fully, silvering the tombs and olive trees. You sit quietly, absorbing the atmosphere, the cool breeze, the faint scent of earth and leaves, the subtle echo of footsteps long past. History is not merely written here. It is felt, experienced, and interpreted through every detail, texture, sound, scent, and imagination. The Spartan tombs remain enigmatic, a blend of archaeology, culture, and mystery that challenges the mind and stirs the imagination. And as you rise to leave, you carry the weight of observation, endurance, and reflection with you, understanding that some mysteries are not meant to be fully solved, only experienced, interpreted, and passed along quietly, like the shadows of torchlight across ancient stone. The pale morning light brushes the stone streets of Sparta, glancing off the worn walls of communal halls where Spartans once gathered to eat, train, and reinforce the bonds of brotherhood. You walk through the deserted ruins, feeling the uneven stones beneath your feet, the faint warmth of the sun already starting to press against your shoulders. The air carries a mingling of scents, dry earth, faint herbs, and the distant aroma of roasting meat that lingers like a memory across the centuries. This is a place of ritual, of quiet discipline, of the subtle threads that bound Spartan society together beyond battle. Here, in these austere halls, the syssitia took place, the communal meals that were not mere feasts, but exercises in unity, hierarchy, and subtle social education. Every Spartan male, from the youngest initiate to seasoned warriors, was required to participate. The ritual was strict, structured, and imbued with layers of meaning, both practical and symbolic. You imagine entering the hall centuries ago, torchlight flickering across the stone walls. The murmur of voices low and measured. The rhythmic clatter of utensils and cups on the rough wooden tables. The first lesson of the Successia was discipline. Every participant was observed, every action noted. You picture a young Spartan stepping forward, careful to carry his portion of food correctly, to avoid spilling, to align himself with unspoken expectations. The older warriors watch silently, eyes scanning, noting posture, gesture, and even the smallest slip of hand or foot. Every movement is a test, not merely of propriety, but of attention, self-control, and respect for the collective. The meals themselves are austere. Bread, olives, perhaps a small portion of meat, beans, or cheese. Nothing extravagant, nothing indulgent. Yet even in simplicity, lessons abound. You can almost feel the texture of the coarse bread in your mouth, the firmness of olives between teeth, the earthy taste of a humble stew. These flavors, simple as they are, reinforce humility, focus, and the ability to endure without complaint. As the meal progresses, observation deepens. You see the subtle ways in which hierarchy is enforced, seating positions reflecting status, ritualistic toasts or gestures acknowledging merit, and the precise rhythm of serving and eating that maintains order. Conversation is minimal, almost perfunctory. Instead, attention is directed toward coordination, observation, and silent awareness of peers. Even minor errors, a poorly timed gesture, a lapse in posture are noted and corrected, instilling lessons that extend far beyond the dining hall. The ritual also fosters unity. You witness the young and old sharing food, exchanging measured words, reinforcing bonds of trust and mutual reliance. Through shared experience, Spartan warriors internalize the understanding that survival in both society and battle depends upon cohesion, coordination, and respect for hierarchy. Every glance, every nod, every deliberate act of participation strengthens the invisible threads that bind each man to the others. You pause to consider the hidden dimensions, subtle signals of approval or disapproval from elders, silent tests of observation, where an initiate might be judged on noticing small inconsistencies, hidden gestures, or symbolic actions. Occasional challenges, quietly embedded in the rhythm of the meal, forcing participants to adapt, respond, and demonstrate both cunning and discipline. Outside, the courtyard is quiet but alive with the distant hum of activity, the soft shuffle of feet on stone, the whispering of wind through olive trees, the occasional clink of tools as preparations are made for another day. You imagine these sounds blending with the faint murmur of chants or recitations, the rhythm of swords being polished, and the subtle echo of lessons being internalized by attentive ears and observant eyes. The sensory experience is layered. The rough texture of wooden benches under hands and knees, the subtle warmth of roasted bread and the faint tang of olives, the faint smoke from small torches curling along walls, mixing with the cool breeze from open doorways, the tactile sensation of spear grips and leather straps subtly, reminding initiates of their broader training even as they dine. You feel the psychological weight of the ritual. Participation is not optional. It is integral to identity, survival, and honor. Every act, every movement, every careful bite of bread reinforces discipline, cohesion, and the capacity for observation, qualities as vital in the barracks or battlefield as in the dining hall. Over time, the Successia also inculcates resilience. You witness an older warrior correcting a younger one gently but firmly, teaching endurance not through physical exertion but through attentiveness, patience, and adherence to subtle rules. The young man's discomfort, perhaps awkward movements, nervous glances, is transformed into understanding, respect, and an embodied lesson in the demands of Spartan life. In moments of quiet reflection, you notice the interplay of structure and subtle rebellion. Initiates might test boundaries, attempt minor gestures of individuality, only to be quietly corrected. These small tensions reinforce the broader lesson. Freedom exists within discipline. Individuality is acknowledged but subordinated to cohesion, observation, and societal expectation. As dusk approaches, torchlight glints softly off stone, wooden tables, and bronze vessels. The murmur of voices decreases, the clatter of utensils softens, and the ritual slowly draws to a close. Participants rise in measured fashion, each gesture deliberate, leaving no trace of disorder. You imagine the young initiates leaving the hall with minds sharpened, bodies disciplined, and understanding deepened. The Sesetia is more than a meal. It is a crucible of culture, hierarchy, and subtle mastery of both self and society. The night settles over the Spartan valley. The halls are quiet, shadows stretching across stone walls, torch embers glowing softly. Even as centuries pass, the rhythm, discipline, and lessons of these communal rituals echo in the ruins. You close your eyes, imagining the torchlit faces, the measured movements, and the silent observations, the invisible threads of unity, endurance, an observation that defines Spartan identity. And as you step into the cool evening air, the weight of history presses upon your shoulders. You feel the continuity of culture, the subtle mystery of unspoken rules, and the enduring imprint of rituals that shaped warriors long before the stones beneath your feet were weathered and worn. The Sesetia is no mere meal. It is a window into the philosophy, rigor, and hidden complexity of a civilization both enigmatic and profoundly disciplined. The morning light filters gently through the hills surrounding ancient Sparta, casting elongated shadows across the rocky valleys. A soft breeze carries the scent of olive groves, dry earth, and the faint smoke of early hearth fires. You walk along a narrow path leading to a secluded sanctuary, a sacred site used for religious festivals that were both public and shrouded in mystery. Every stone underfoot feels ancient. Every whisper of wind seems to carry the weight of centuries. These festivals were not mere celebrations. They were immersive experiences designed to unite, test, and elevate the body, mind, and spirit of Spartans. You imagine the city centuries ago, the streets alive with disciplined movement, young warriors in formation, elders observing, and priests preparing altars and ceremonial spaces. The smell of burning incense and offerings mingled with the earthy scent of the land, creating an atmosphere charged with reverence and anticipation. The festivals often included processions, ritual dances, and symbolic competitions. You watch, in imagination, as participants move in precise, coordinated steps, their muscles taut with concentration, faces set in expressions of solemnity and focus. Each movement has meaning: a bow, a gesture toward an altar, a measured pace along the ceremonial path. These are not acts of indulgence. They are exercises in attention, unity, and endurance. The air is filled with the rhythmic sound of chanting. Voices rise and fall in unison, carrying hymns to Apollo, Artemis, or local deities, blending with the rustle of garments and the soft clatter of ritual implements. Every sound is intentional, designed to guide emotion, focus the mind, and reinforce cultural cohesion. The chants serve as both invocation and meditation, binding participants to tradition, society, and the divine. You move closer to a raised stone platform, imagining young initiates stepping forward to make offerings. They carry small vessels of oil, grain, or wine, presenting them with deliberate, practiced gestures. Even minor errors, a tilt of a vessel, a misstep, a glance in the wrong direction, are noted by elders or priests, silently corrected, reinforcing precision and discipline. These small moments of instruction teach observation, patience, and respect for the unspoken codes of society. The sensory details are vivid. The rough texture of stone altars under fingertips, the faintly bitter aroma of olive oil mixing with the sweetness of burning herbs, the warmth of the sun, the cool breeze, and the subtle vibration of chanting voices echoing off rock walls. The sensation of standing shoulder to shoulder with peers, sharing breath, rhythm, and silent awareness. You notice the strategic layering of experience. Festivals included competitions of strength, endurance, and skill, but these were deeply intertwined with ritual. Each contest is not simply physical. It is a lesson in observation, humility, and social awareness. You imagine a young Spartan lifting a heavy stone or running a precise path, muscles trembling, heart pounding, mind absorbing subtle guidance from both peers and elders. Failure is instructive. Success is recognized, but always within the framework of collective cohesion and moral expectation. The landscape itself contributes to the ritual. Paths wind past groves, streams, and rocky outcrops, each location chosen deliberately to evoke reflection, challenge, or awe. You imagine moving through the terrain centuries ago, hearing distant bird calls, the rustle of leaves, the faint splash of water, all blending with the human sounds of chanting, laughter, and measured exertion. Every detail, sight, sound, scent, and touch is designed to immerse participants fully in the cultural and spiritual lesson. Certain festivals were secret, their full meaning known only to elders or initiates. Scholars speculate on rites involving symbolic purification, meditation, or tests of courage that occurred under night's cover. You envision the young participants stepping into shadowed groves, guided by torchlight, heart racing, senses heightened. Every step is deliberate, every sound amplified, every subtle movement carrying profound significance. The mysteries were preserved through repetition, discipline, and the unspoken understanding that some knowledge is powerful precisely because it is hidden. You reflect on the psychological dimensions. Participation in sacred festivals shaped perception, self-discipline, and social awareness. It cultivated the ability to observe details, endure discomfort, and navigate complex social hierarchies with both respect and cunning. Even minor interactions, a whispered comment, a gesture of encouragement, or a subtle correction, were carefully calibrated lessons in observation and social intelligence. As the sun begins to set, casting long shadows across the sanctuary, you witness a final procession. Torches flicker, the chants slow, and participants move with measured, deliberate grace. The scents of herbs, smoke, and earth linger, embedding themselves in memory. You close your eyes, imagining the young initiates stepping forward centuries ago, carrying offerings, absorbing lessons, internalizing the balance between physical exertion, ritual, and moral awareness. Night falls completely. The stones of the sanctuary cool, The wind whispers through olive groves, and distant animals call softly in the darkness. The air carries echoes of centuries of practice, discipline, and devotion. Even as modern scholars debate the specifics of Spartan festivals, the atmosphere speaks: ritual, endurance, secrecy, observation, and communal cohesion shaped every action, every movement, every breath of participants. You step away slowly, muscles tired, mind alive with reflection. Every sensory detail, texture, sound, scent, rhythm, is etched into your awareness. The sacred mysteries, long hidden and partially lost to time, leave an enduring impression, a blend of culture, discipline, and subtle instruction that defines Spartan society far beyond the battlefield. And as the moon rises over the hills, you carry forward the resonance of these festivals, understanding that mystery, ritual, and disciplined observation were as integral to Spartan identity as courage, strength, and strategy. The legacy of sacred practice, layered with secrecy, endurance, and insight, continues to echo across the stones, wind, and valleys, a testament to a civilization both enigmatic and meticulously structured. The sun rises slowly over the hills of Sparta, painting the city in muted gold and soft shadows. You step into the heart of the city, where the streets, bustling with disciplined soldiers and citizens, now echo faintly with the impressions of centuries past. The air is dry, carrying the scent of sun-baked stone, olive groves, and faint traces of smoke from hearth fires that once fueled the homes of the Spartan elite. Here, in contrast to the austere communal life of ordinary citizens and young warriors, the elite experience a life structured by privilege, ritual, and subtle influence. The homes of Spartan aristocrats stand slightly apart, larger, built with smoother stone, featuring small courtyards where herbs and olives grow in orderly rows. You imagine walking along the polished floors, feeling the difference beneath your feet compared to the rough pavements of the common city streets. The scent of fresh oil lamps, carefully tended hearths, and baked bread lingers in these spaces, blending with the faint aroma of perfumes or scented oils used to maintain cleanliness and demonstrate status. The elites engage in daily rituals that differ subtly but significantly from the rigorous physical and social training of ordinary Spartans. They begin their day with observation and reflection, moving deliberately through their spaces, ensuring that everything is in order, from the placement of utensils to the alignment of furniture. These seemingly mundane actions are deeply symbolic. They reinforce authority, social hierarchy, and a sense of control over environment and people alike. You are invited to witness a morning gathering of Spartan elders and aristocrats. A table is set with bread, cheese, olives, and wine. Portions modest yet carefully selected, emphasizing quality over quantity. Discussions unfold with measured tones, voices controlled and deliberate, reflecting both education and the subtle performance of status. Even the pauses carry meaning. Silence is as communicative as speech, signaling approval, disapproval, or unspoken instruction. Outside, in the courtyard, young elite men practice both physical and strategic exercises, their movements precise and scrutinized. Unlike ordinary warriors, their training often combines intellectual and physical rigor. You can imagine them observing, calculating, responding not only with strength but with insight, refining strategy, leadership, and command. Every spear thrust, every measured step, every glance toward a mentor or elder is laden with purpose, observation, and the quiet pressure of expectation. The difference from common life is subtle yet profound. While ordinary citizens endure communal meals, harsh training, and strict schedules dictated by discipline, the elite navigates a layered social world where influence, perception, and subtle power dynamics shape daily existence. You sense the weight of responsibility that comes with privilege. Every action, gesture, and word carries consequences for reputation, alliances, and future authority within the private chambers. You notice symbolic displays, small carvings, bronze ornaments, and carefully arranged objects that reflect lineage, achievements, and social networks. These items are more than decoration. They convey status, commemorate accomplishments, and silently instruct visitors or young apprentices in the art of presence, awareness, and subtle influence. You feel the care in every detail, the thought embedded in placement, the unspoken lessons of observation and decorum. Meals among the elite, while modest by modern standards, are ceremonial. Participation requires decorum, awareness of social cues, and careful attention to hierarchy. Even the serving of bread or wine carries ritual significance. Gestures, timing, and recognition of peers and elders reinforce understanding of social structure and mutual respect. A young aristocrat may observe the subtle nod of an elder, the slight adjustment of posture, or the deliberate pace of a peer, lessons that shape perception, empathy, and tactical thinking. You move into a study or small library, imagining scrolls and inscriptions arranged with care. The elite study history, philosophy, and military strategy, preparing themselves for roles as leaders, commanders, and advisors. Knowledge here is intertwined with observation and reflection. Every lesson is practical, every principle tested in both social and martial contexts. You can almost hear the rustle of parchment, the scratch of stylus on wax, and the quiet contemplation that fills these rooms, shaping minds in tandem with the body. Even recreation for the elite carries layered meaning. Gentle, athletic contests, strategic games, or supervised hunts are not merely leisure. They are exercises in observation, patience, coordination, and judgment. Every small action, a throw of a javelin, a move in a board game, a response to a sudden challenge, becomes a lesson in foresight, precision, and social awareness. You sense the invisible threads linking physical action, mental acuity, and social expectation into a seamless fabric of elite upbringing. You pause near a window, overlooking the bustle of the city below. Ordinary citizens engage in daily labor, tending fields, crafting tools, or training in communal barracks. The contrast is stark. Both groups are molded by Spartan society. Yet the elite navigate layers of privilege, subtle instruction, and symbolic responsibility, while commoners endure harsher physical and social disciplines. The interplay between these lives reinforces the broader structure of Sparta, maintaining cohesion, hierarchy, and the transmission of cultural values across generations. As day turns toward evening, the courtyard fills with soft light and long shadows. You imagine the elite concluding their day with reflection, discussion, or quiet observation of both peers and subordinates. Every glance, gesture, and measured word carries weight, reinforcing understanding, teaching patience, and solidifying bonds of loyalty and respect. The sensory richness of the elite experience is subtle but distinct. The smooth texture of polished stone and wood, the faint aroma of scented oils and roasting bread, the soft rustle of garments, the quiet cadence of speech, and the rhythmic movement of trained bodies, the nuanced awareness of social dynamics, observation, and anticipation that pervades every interaction. Night descends, silvering the stone walls and courtyards. Torches flicker softly, casting dancing shadows over tables, tools, and walls adorned with symbolic objects. You close your eyes, absorbing the intricate layering of Spartan elite life, discipline and privilege intertwined, subtlety and observation emphasized, physical rigor balanced with strategic, social, and cultural mastery, even in the quiet of the ruins. The lessons of elite life resonate. Endurance is not only physical, observation is both social and strategic, and privilege carries responsibility, ritual, and expectation. The elite experience is as structured and demanding as the common life, but its challenges are nuanced, layered, and often invisible to the untrained eye. And as the moon rises over the hills, you step back, feeling the weight of centuries. The rhythm, observation, and carefully constructed hierarchy of Spartan elite life echoes silently, a testament to a civilization both rigorous and subtly sophisticated, where even leisure meals and reflection served as training grounds for mind, body, and social mastery. The first light of dawn filters across Sparta once more, revealing the contours of hills, stone buildings, and the disciplined geometry of the city layout. You walk along a narrow, elevated path that winds past private courtyards, training grounds, and workshops reserved for the elite. The air is crisp, carrying the faint scent of dew on olive leaves, warmed stone, and the residual smoke of morning hearths. The city feels alive yet measured, each sound, each movement, each faint rustle of fabric a note in the subtle symphony of structured daily life. Elite Spartans awaken before most of the city stirs. You imagine stepping into their private chambers, the smooth stone cool underfoot, carefully arranged bedding, tools, and personal items reflecting meticulous attention to order. There is no indulgence in the day begins with purpose, observation, and preparation. Every gesture, from brushing dust off a surface to adjusting a strap or weapon, carries weight and meaning. Discipline permeates even the quietest routines, an invisible teacher guiding thought, movement, and awareness. Morning exercises commence with precise coordination. The young and mature elite perform calisthenics, spear drills, and combat training in carefully designated courtyards. Unlike the more communal barracks of common citizens, these exercises are intertwined with subtle instruction in leadership, observation, and decision-making. You visualize a young elite practicing a spear thrust under the watchful eye of a mentor. Every step, every pivot, every measured breath contributes to a lesson in both martial skill and strategic thinking. The senses are acutely engaged. The grit of stone beneath sandals, the subtle friction of leather wraps on arms and legs, the earthy scent of soil combined with the faint taint of sweat and metal from weapons, the faint echo of measured footsteps, coordinated thrusts, and soft commands from instructors. The warmth of sun on skin balanced with the coolness of morning air in shaded courtyards. Breakfast follows. Modest but highly structured. Bread, cheese, olives, and small portions of meat or fish, prepared with attention to freshness and quality, are shared in communal yet elite-specific spaces. The meal is a lesson in etiquette, hierarchy, and observation. Every movement, reaching for food, lifting a cup, nodding in acknowledgement, is laden with meaning, observed carefully by elders and peers alike. Even minor mistakes may be corrected subtly, teaching vigilance, patience, and self-awareness. Beyond nourishment, elite Spartans engage in intellectual and strategic exercises. You move through a shaded courtyard where young men debate philosophy, military strategy, and civic duty. The discussion is rigorous yet disciplined, voices measured, gestures deliberate. The combination of physical exertion and mental training cultivates a holistic mastery. Body, mind, and social acumen honed in tandem. Observation remains key. Even subtle reactions, eye movements, or pauses in speech convey insight into character, judgment, and understanding. Daily duties extend to administrative, ceremonial, and oversight tasks. Elite Spartans supervise communal work, maintain records, and ensure alignment between city needs and military readiness. Every interaction is an exercise in perception, influence, and subtle leadership. You imagine the weight of responsibility carried silently, decisions made with foresight, consequences anticipated. Loyalty and hierarchy balanced with wisdom and fairness. The sensory layering continues. The faint rustle of papyrus or scrolls in a small study. The tactile smoothness of polished stone, bronze, and leather. Subtle background noises. Distant hammers from workshops. The call of birds. The low murmur of training across the valley. The taste of water or wine shared in measured quantities, reinforcing moderation, observation, and composure. Social rituals punctuate the day, brief exchanges of greeting, ceremonial acknowledgement of achievement, and small tests of judgment. Each interaction reinforces social cohesion and hierarchy while teaching perception, subtlety, and strategic awareness. The young elite watch elders, older peers, and mentors, absorbing unspoken lessons in timing, discretion, and influence. In contrast, the common Spartan citizen moves through a harsher daily rhythm, communal barracks, repetitive labor, rigorous physical training, and constant exposure to public scrutiny. The contrast is stark. Both lives are disciplined, yet the elite navigates subtler challenges, layered with observation, influence, and social nuance, while the common citizens endure the straightforward rigor of endurance, obedience, and survival as afternoon approaches. Elite Spartans engage in specialized training, horseback riding, controlled hunts, or small-scale tactical simulations. These exercises combine physical exertion, observation, and tactical reasoning. Every movement is intentional. Every decision carries consequence. Every participant learns to balance instinct, skill, and social awareness. You visualize the scene, sun glinting off bronze, dust rising with movement, leaves rustling gently in olive groves, and the subtle rhythm of disciplined bodies responding to instruction and circumstance. By evening, reflection, mentorship, and private study dominate. The elite engage in meditation, review of strategy, and contemplation of civic duties. The quiet is punctuated by soft sounds, the flicker of torches, the subtle scrape of stylus on wax, the muted rustle of garments, and distant echoes from the city below. Even leisure is purposeful. Conversation, games, and gentle competition serve to sharpen judgment, insight, and awareness. Night descends fully, and the city becomes a muted landscape of stone, shadow, and whispering wind. You close your eyes, absorbing the rhythm of elite Spartan life, discipline and privilege intertwined, observation and influence woven into every act, every gesture, every breath. The legacy is clear. Even in apparent luxury, elite life demanded constant awareness, endurance, and strategic mastery. The structures of privilege were inseparable from the rituals, duties, and subtle lessons that defined the city, ensuring that every Spartan, elite or commoner, moved in harmony with the values and expectations of a society both rigorous and intricate. The moon rises over the hills, silvering stone courtyards and olive groves. You step back, feeling the layered reality of elite life, its privileges, responsibilities, and subtle tests echoing silently across centuries, a testament to the meticulous design, observation, and discipline that defined Sparta at every level of society. As the sun dips below the hills surrounding Sparta, the city is bathed in a muted golden glow, shadows stretching across courtyards, stone streets, and olive groves. You walk along a quiet path leading to the homes of the Spartan elite, the air warm with lingering sunlight and carrying faint scents of herbs, roasting bread, and the subtle smoke of extinguished torches. Evening in Sparta is a time of reflection, ritual, and preparation, where the disciplined rhythm of the day softens into quiet contemplation. Without losing the pervasive sense of structure and order, the elite gather in private chambers, each space carefully arranged for both comfort and symbolic significance. You notice polished floors, strategically placed vessels, and small carved ornaments denoting lineage, achievement, or spiritual symbolism. Every object is intentional. Every placement communicates hierarchy, memory, or instruction. You imagine moving through these spaces centuries ago, candlelight flickering across walls, the soft rustle of garments, and the measured, deliberate gestures of men and women performing evening rituals. The first act of evening involves personal reflection and meditation. Elite Spartans review the day's exercises, meals, and social interactions, considering both their successes and missteps. You picture a young aristocrat sitting quietly, muscles relaxed after the day's exertion, eyes closed, inhaling the faint scent of herbs and polished wood. Thoughts drift through lessons learned, subtle social cues observed, and strategies refined, a mental training as rigorous and disciplined as physical exercise. Dinner follows, modest yet ceremonial. Bread, olives, cheese, and small portions of meat or fish are shared in measured portions. Conversation is calm, deliberate, and layered with social awareness. Nods, glances, and measured tones convey approval, subtle instruction, or quiet correction. Even the smallest gestures, lifting a cup, arranging utensils, or responding to a peer, are observed and internalized. You can almost feel the tactile feedback, the smooth weight of pottery in hand, the slight friction of wooden surfaces, the faint warmth of freshly baked bread. Beyond nourishment, evenings include study and strategy. Scrolls, inscriptions, and texts are reviewed. Lessons in leadership, military planning, and civic duty are absorbed in quiet reflection. You imagine hands gliding over parchment, eyes scanning symbols and diagrams, mind piecing together both practical and philosophical knowledge. The environment encourages deep focus, patience, and intellectual endurance, qualities inseparable from Spartan elite life. The sensory layering is rich. The warmth of candlelight or oil lamps flickering against stone walls, the faint Thames of herbs and roasted foods lingering in the air, the soft rustle of fabric as Spartans move or adjust seating, the rhythmic cadence of breathing, silent observation, and occasional measured conversation. You notice social rituals embedded even in evening routines. Acknowledgement of achievements, subtle tests of judgment, and reinforcement of hierarchy occurs seamlessly alongside relaxation and reflection. A nod from a senior mentor, the placement of a cup, or a careful gesture toward a scroll communicates lessons of timing, discretion, and strategic thinking. Even seemingly idle moments are opportunities for observation, growth, and internalization of the intricate social structure outside. The city transitions to quiet. The murmur of distant rivers, rustling leaves, and the faint call of nocturnal birds combine with the residual warmth of day. You imagine ordinary citizens returning from laborious routines, gathering in communal spaces or barracks, their discipline tangible but differing from the subtle, structured challenges of the elite. The contrast underscores the layered complexity of Spartan society. Both groups are rigorously trained, yet the elite navigates additional dimensions of influence, observation, and social nuance. Recreation is understated yet meaningful. Elite Spartans may engage in light athletic contests, tactical games, or controlled conversation, blending relaxation with subtle skill building. Every action reinforces observation, patience, foresight, and interpersonal awareness. You envision torchlight glinting off polished floors, the faint clatter of a strategic game, and the subtle shift of glances as participants measure responses and anticipate moves. As night deepens, private reflection continues. Elites contemplate lessons from both their own actions and those of peers, analyzing successes, missteps, and opportunities for growth. Even small insights, noticing a peer's hesitation, the rhythm of conversation, or a gesture of approval, become mental exercises in strategy, social intelligence, and disciplined observation. The sensory immersion extends to sleep preparation. Smooth bedding, subtly scented oils, and the soft rustle of garments create an environment conducive to rest while reinforcing comfort, order, and attentiveness. You feel the texture of bedding under hands, the slight warmth of residual sunlight on stone floors, and the gentle cadence of evening sounds settling into quiet rhythm. The final moments of the day are contemplative. The moon rises over hills and olive groves, casting silver shadows across courtyards, streets, and the faint remnants of ceremonial spaces. You close your eyes, imagining the legacy of Spartan elite life, a balance of privilege, responsibility, discipline, and subtle, layered mastery over both self and society. Even in rest, awareness, reflection, and observation remain intertwined, leaving an indelible imprint on both body and mind. History whispers through every detail, the rhythm of life, the patterns of behavior, the nuanced lessons passed down through ritual, reflection, and interaction. The city, the ruins, and the lingering atmosphere speak to centuries of structured living, where every moment work, study, play, and rest contributes to an enduring cultural identity. And as you breathe deeply, listening to the soft night sounds, the cool breeze, and the distant rustle of leaves, you carry the full weight of Sparta's elite experience with you. Discipline, observation, social awareness, and reflection echo silently through the stones and olive groves. The legacy is complete. A civilization both rigorous and intricate, whose structure and culture shaped every individual's day from dawn to the quiet embrace of night. The night has settled fully over the hills and valleys of ancient Sparta. A soft, cool breeze stirs the olive trees, carrying the subtle scent of earth, stone, and faint smoke from distant fires. You stand quietly, imagining the city as it once was. Young warriors honing discipline in communal barracks, elders observing silently, and aristocrats moving deliberately through polished courtyards. Every rhythm, every motion, every lesson now drifts gently through your mind, creating a sense of calm and quiet wonder. Recall the early mornings when the first light touched the city. You can almost feel the crisp air on your skin, the muted clang of bronze, and the rhythmic thrum of physical training. The sounds of communal meals echo softly, the breaking of bread, the gentle pour of wine, the quiet conversation, mingling with the earthy aroma of freshly baked loaves, ripe olives, and roasted herbs. Even small gestures, arranging tools, lifting vessels, adjusting garments carry subtle meaning, lessons in patience, precision, and presence. Think of the sacred rituals, the festivals of the gods, where chants rose into the morning light and torches flickered in shadowed groves. You hear the soft voices, the rustle of robes, and the deliberate placement of offerings. These experiences, full of discipline, observation, and quiet wonder, now settle softly in your mind. A calm, rhythmic presence. Even the lives of the elite resonate in this quiet. The careful attention to order, the deliberate gestures at meals, the study of scrolls and strategy, and the soft games of evening demonstrate a society in which observation and reflection were as valued as strength and courage. Candlelight flickers over stone floors, shadows dance across walls, the faint scent of herbs and polished wood, and the deliberate cadence of soft conversation. Every gesture, every pause, every glance is imbued with meaning. Yet all of it becomes gentle and soothing. Now, as you breathe slowly, each inhalation carries a sense of history into your body, and each exhalation releases tension. You feel connected to centuries of disciplined life, yet free from its burdens. The lessons of Sparta, endurance, observation, unity, patience, and reflection fold gently into your awareness. The streets, courtyards, groves, and sacred spaces all settle into soft shadows. You hear the rustle of olive leaves, the whisper of wind, and faint, imagined voices from centuries ago. Even the smallest details, the coolness of stone, the warmth of torchlight, the subtle fragrance of herbs create a tapestry of calm, guiding your mind toward relaxation. The day's routines, sacred festivals, disciplined training, and quiet reflection merge into a single, peaceful current. It flows slowly, carrying you along, softening tension and inviting your mind to drift. The rhythm of Sparta, the harmony between strength, observation, and reflection echoes in your awareness, creating a sense of stability and gentle reassurance. As night deepens, the stars appear, silvering the courtyards, streets, and olive groves. The city sleeps, yet in your mind it lives alive with quiet discipline, observation, and the soft cadence of centuries. The gentle weight of history settles around you, not as pressure, but as a calm presence that soothes and comforts. Now, let your body sink further into comfort. The echoes of Sparta, its strength, rituals, and deliberate life fade softly into tranquility, leaving only a gentle rhythm and soft awareness. Every detail, every lesson, every moment drifts gently into your consciousness, preparing your mind and body for rest. The legacy of Sparta, though long gone, lingers in calm patterns, discipline with reflection, strength with observation, life structured with intention. You carry this serenity as your breathing slows, the night deepens, and your body prepares to rest completely. The hills, groves, stone courtyards, torchlight, and quiet murmurs dissolve softly into calm. And now, with the moon high and the stars overhead, feel the full embrace of peace. Let yourself drift into rest, carrying the serene rhythm of Spartan life as a gentle companion into sleep. Good night.